Hello. What I'm going to do in this tutorial is one that I've had a lot of requests for over a long time, but I've always kind of put off doing it because I thought it was going to be really long, and it probably is. It's going to be the companion wheel tutorial, and so I've already laid some groundwork just because I thought this would be really tedious to watch me do. All I've done is created the companion wheel tutorial quest, which I've given a priority of 55 and start game enabled. Then I've added a list of topics already, and I thought this would be like really lengthy and tedious to watch. So I created my own topic, CWT Goodbye, but all of these other topics here are default pre-existing topics in the game that need to be added and have entries for in order for your companion wheel to work. So what you can do is you can just pause the video now and add all these topics, and then after that I'm going to go through and create the entries for all of them. So to begin with, I'll create my NPC. So right click new, and we're going to give him an ID CWT Companion. I'm just going to call him Tutorial Companion, leave all this as is. Now we're going to go to CombatStyle, and we're going to look for FollowersCombatStyleRanged, because that's the default that he's going to have. Then we're going to go to, you can edit any of these stats you want. Leave factions as is. AI data, we're going to set to aggressive. Confidence, foolhardy, so we'll never run away. You can put confidence to whatever you want. I'm going to have brave, actually. And then I'll put helps allies. Inventory, he's going to need a melee weapon and a gun, but I'm also going to give him armor. So I'm going to give him some Wastelander apparel. There you go, that'll do. Just give him a leveled item so that it'll be random. I'm going to give him Wep 10mm. I'm going to give him some 10... Come on, some... It's not registering my typing. Oh, I've remembered right. Okay. It's called ammo 10mm. It's not 10mm ammo. Give him 5 of those. And I'm going to give him a knife as well. Now, one thing to bear in mind is a player teammate, which any companion that has a companion wheel will use up ammo for their gun. So my NPC will only be able to fire these 5 bullets I've given him. So what you can do to counteract that is to create your own unique weapon. Items, weapons, and if I just put in 10mm like this, grab a 10mm pistol like that. I'm just gonna call it CWT 10mm pistol and uncheck playable. Hit OK and create new form. Yes. And now when we go to ammunition, there is special companion ammo called Ammo Companion, which will never run out of ammo. So if we go back to our CWT NPC and just change the 10mm pistol to CWT 10mm pistol, and the ammo we're going to put in the magical companion ammo. So now he'll never run out of ammunition unless we give him a special gun of his own, which you can do when you're playing, but not this tutorial will have a special weapon. So now all that's done, I'm going to place him in my world. Good Springs, I had in mind the Good Springs Prospector Saloon. I'm going to put him in here. One. Just hit M and that disables all the markers, and that just clears everything up nice and easy for us to put him. Click and drag him into the world. Just hit F and he drops to the ground. Now he is naked right now, but he won't be naked later on. I can't click on him because the bloody light beams are in my way. I shouldn't have put him so close to the wall. There we go. Now I can move him around. Oh, he's wearing Project Brazil Vault 18 underwear, yellow underwear there. I'm going to give him CWT CompanionREF, give him his reference ID, and OK. So now what we're going to do is give him a script. So I'm going to double click. Well, no, I haven't even written the script yet. Click the pencil, right, and script new. Now I've pre-written a script here because I did a little test beforehand to make sure I could get everything working. So this is what I've done for my script. I've created a bunch of variables: IsHired, CWT FollowDistance, and I've created a little comment here by putting the semicolon. So 0 is the default. 0 is the default, and 1 means he's following you long. CombatStyle 0 is default, 1 means he's using melee. His aggression level 0 is the default, 1 means he's being aggressive. I've set the default to be aggressive, in which case I'll change his AI data to unaggressive. So next up, I've got this here little block here, this begin OnLoad block. So that means the first time this NPC is loaded, it will check the value of the combat style and set his combat style to FollowersCombatStyleRanged if it's 0, which it will be at the default. Or if it isn't 0, i.e. it's 1, in our example, he'll have his combat style set to melee. And the reason I've done that is because the base companions do it, and I think it resets the combat style automatically to the default if I quit out of a game. And I've set his combat style to be melee in the script. It'll default back to this when it loads, so that's why we've got this variable set up to check, and to check when you reload the game that he will be using the right thing. But that will become apparent after I've filled in the dialog options. And finally, I've got begin on CombatEnd if IsHired equals 1, CWTCompanionREF.ResetHealth. So that just means that after he's finished fighting, providing he's been hired, which again this variable will be set in dialog, he will have his health reset. So he will be slightly less likely to die because I haven't made him essential in this example. So I'm just going to save that and close, and we're going to open him up, and we're going to look for CWTScript, which I'll put in the description, unless I forget, in which case somebody will comment and tell me off for it. So now we're going to go and create all the dialogue options. Now this is what I thought was going to take ages, so I'd always been kind of reluctant to do the tutorial. So we'll open with the greetings first. So we'll create a first time greeting. Hello, I'm a modded companion. No, not modded. Modded is right. And we'll create some conditions. So new, get his ID, CWT companion. And then we're going to do a get script variable this time. I'm not using a quest variable. Select reference in vendor window, and we're going to click our NPC. And now you'll see here all the variables we defined earlier. IsHired equals 0. I mean, this is the first time the player's ever spoken to him, so it would be impossible for him to be hired. So, I mean, that doesn't really matter, but I like to be very pedantic in my conditioning to make absolutely certain. And we'll just do a say once. So now we're going to create another one. Nice to see you again. And so I'm just going to copy it all and paste and leave them exactly the same. So now we're going to create a third greeting topic, which will be this is the one he'll say when he's been hired by you. So I'll say, hello, leader, what would you like me to do? And now we're going to paste the conditions back, but this time we're going to go and the IsHired condition I created earlier is going to be changed to 1. So now I'll say all these when he's not been hired, these two, and he'll say this when he has been. Now for the process of setting up all these dialogues topics. So first of all, followers fired. So this is what he'll say when you say for the first time. You'll see at the top here it already says it's time for us to part ways. And you'll also see this thing top level is checked. Now what that means is this will always appear in the conditioned NPC's greeting. So I won't need to do add topics for any of these. These will be added by default to whatever NPC I condition to say it. So if I right click new, I'll create a topic. Oh, are you sure? So this is what the player will say. Do you want to part ways? He'll say, are you sure? Paste conditions and change IsHired to 1. And I'm going to copy all conditions again so I don't have to keep changing. So now, this top level, it means it will always appear following the CWT companion greeting. So next up, we're going to have some choices. So we're going to add topic, hit current quest only, and it will just come up with these options. So we're going to hit followers fired no, followers fired yes, and followers fired yes sweet. So for no, you'll see it's already got on second thought, I'll stick with you a little longer. So I'm going to put O I was getting worried there. So he's relieved because the player decided not to sack him. And just paste those conditions in, the hired condition and the ID condition. Now, yes, so this will be the one for him to return to home base. So I'm going to put new. And this is what he'll say. Okay, I'll go back to the saloon. Paste condition. Now we're going to put set CWTCompanionREF, so that's the reference ID of our companion, dot is hired to 0. Might as well. And then we're going to put in here as well CWTCompanionREF dot set player teammate 0. And so that will mean that the companion wheel will no longer show up because we haven't done the hired conditions yet. That's coming up down here, and that's when we'll set him to 1, but he's being set to 0 for now. And yes, sweet. Put ooh, sounds nice, and paste those conditions in again. So we're going to put set CWTCompanionREF dot is hired to 0, and now we're going to put set CWTCompanionREF dot CWTL38 to 1, and these two are both variables we're going to use later when we create the packages. So that if CWT Lucky 38 is 1, he'll instead of going to Good Springs, he'll go and sandbox him a Lucky 38 instead. And we'll check both of these actually as goodbyes, so remember to do that right away. Now we're going to do followers hired. I think we should travel together. Sounds like fun. Say something like that. So now we're going to paste conditions, and this time we're going to make sure that is hired has to equal 0 for this to show up. And we're going to put set CWTCompanionREF dot is hired to 1, and then CWTCompanionREF dot set player teammate to 1. Oh no. What have I done? Oh, here we go. Don't put 2 1. CWTCompanionREF.setPlayerTeammate1. And now what setPlayerTeammate does is it makes the NPC act like the player's combat teammate, basically. So he'll sneak when you sneak, a companion wheel will appear, which is above all the most important part of this tutorial, and what's the other thing he does? Oh, he will use up ammo. He will use up conventional ammo, which other NPCs don't do, which is why we gave him magical companion ammo. So followers, let's go. I can't remember what this topic's for. This is for when they're waiting. That's it. Okay, let's get back to it. So we're just going to paste all the same conditions in, but I'm just going to duplicate this and then change it now to waiting. So we'll see waiting has to equal 1 for this one to show up. And so now we're just going to put set CWT. No, this time we're going to do it in the result script brackets begin, so that it'll happen right away. Set CWT companionREF dot waiting to 1, and now we're just going to force him to evaluate his packages here. So I'm going to put CWT companionREF dot EVP. I'll script like that. So hired and waiting has to equal 1. So overburden. So this is what they'll say if they're carrying too much gear, and this will just default happen. So, ooh, that's too heavy for me. Just not happy about that. And just paste those same 2 copied conditions: the hired condition and the get his ID condition. That's where I have to do that one. Again, stealthing. This is what he'll say when he sneaks. I'll keep quiet, and I'm just going to paste those exact same 2 conditions. That's all we need for that. Now here's where this is going to get even more complicated. Let's talk about your tactics. So this is where we're going to be able to have a load of choices about combat and distance and things like that. Okay, what do you want to change? And so now we're going to go for choices here, and still with current quests elite, we're going to look for tactics combat. Followers tactics combat, followers tactics distance and followers tactics end, like that. So rolling on over here, I want to change your combat style. Okay. What should I do? Hold up. Yeah, I didn't put conditions into this one. I'll just expand this so I can see better. Okay, what should I do? And for now, the choices, we have a large range of choices that I've noted down here so I'll remember. So we're looking for tactics melee, tactics ranged, tactics aggressive, tactics passive, tactics end, and tactics goodbye. And we're going to hit OK, and all those have been added in. So now go over to tactic aggressive. I want you to attack enemies the moment I can see them. The moment you see them. Okay. I'll mess them up. So now what we're going to do is paste those same conditions that we already had, but now I'm going to duplicate again this script variable condition. And we're going to put get script variable aggression level. For this one we say aggression level has to equal 0, because as you'll remember with our note back in the script, just to prompt ourselves so we'd remember, aggression level 0 equals default and 1 is aggressive, and because we're setting him to be aggressive, obviously it's setting it away from the default, so we're going to put set, CWTCompanionREF.setAV, so set actor value aggression to 1. Oh wait, no, maybe it's not 2. Yep, that's set actor value aggression 1, so that means he will attack any enemies he sees on sight, so anyone who's the enemy of the player, because he's a player teammate. And then we're also going to do set CWTCompanionREF.aggressionLevel to 1. So that's just, this is purely for conditioning purposes, this one, and this is where the actual change takes place. So now CombatEnd, this is just where the player says, actually I don't want to talk about any tactics, so I'll just put OK, sure thing, and that's all we need to do with that. Tactics goodbye is where you want to back out of a tactics menu and go straight into gameplay, so I'm just going to put and say let's get going, check that to be goodbye, paste in those same standard conditions, which I forgot to do up here as well. So now we're changing his combat style to melee. So by default my guy's a shooter, so I'm going to say if that's what you really want. So he's a little bit uneasy about it. Paste those conditions, but now we're going to again duplicate our existing condition and then edit it. So instead of IsHired, we're looking at combat style. So this is going to be combat style has to equal 0 for that, because it's the default and we're switching it to melee. So now we're going to put CWTCompanionREF.setCombatStyle to followers, or what's it called? I'm going to have to go into here and prompt myself because I don't want to make a mistake. So we can just copy the outlook. It's setCombatStyle, FollowersCombatStyleMelee. So I'll just copy that straight out of it like that. So setCombatStyle, FollowersCombatStyleMelee. And now we're going to adjust our condition for the conditioning purposes. CWT set CWTCompanionREF.combatStyle to 1. So we'll just, pop that. So now we're changing him to passive. Okay. Let's put I'll think before I act. Paste those conditions, and then I'm going to duplicate my condition and change it IsHired down to aggression level. So this has to equal 1 because we're going from aggressive to being non-aggressive. So I'll just head back up and copy this and go back to passive, paste that in, and set active value aggression to 0, so he's becoming passive, and then set that back to 0 for conditioning purposes. CombatStyleRanged, again this is going to be much the same as the other ones. Good, that's what I'd rather. paste the two conditions that we've been using over and over again. Duplicate this, and then we're going to change combat style. The combat style condition has to equal 0 because no, it has to equal 1 because we're going from the non-default to the default, and that's what we wrote in our little prompts. So I'll just go over to CombatMelee and copy this over. CombatRanged. And then change this from CombatStyleMelee to CombatStyleRanged. And change CombatStyle to 0 just to prompt us that we're heading back to the default. So that's all that done. Now we're going to look at combat distance. Okay. I'll do what you want. So this is where the player first says, let's talk about how close you're following me. So we're going to be adding choices now. And we're looking for distance default, distance close, distance end, and distance goodbye. So now we're going to go over to distance close. So he's saying, stay close to me. I won't leave your side. So this is where he's getting in nice and close. Wait, hold on. Distance long's not here. There it is. Did I have the choice? I don't think I put it in there. Okay. Distance close. Okay, I won't leave your side. Paste the conditions. Hold on just 1 minute. Right, so about that pause, it occurred to me that there was I'd added a unused topic, but distance close shouldn't have been in there, so I just removed distance close. That shouldn't have been in there because distance default is distance close. It's just that there was a superfluous topic for some reason. So stay close to me. You'll see the existing prompt. So I'll put okay. I won't leave your side. And obviously we're changing from a non-default to a default in this situation. So we're just going to duplicate this condition. Follow distance has to equal 1 because that's changing from the default to the non-default. These next two distance end just talk about something else. So I'll just put OK, what next? Paste those standard conditions, and this is the goodbye topic. So I'll just put let's get going, check goodbye, paste those two conditions. So now distance long, so this is where we're changing from the default over to the non-default. So okay. I'll do some flanking. Paste conditions, again I'm going to duplicate this condition. And I'm going to change follow distance has to equal 0 in this scenario, because we're going from 0 to 1. And I realised I forgot to put the conditions, the scripting in here. So we're going to put just one line of script now. So set CWTCompanionREF.follow distance to 0. I'm just going to copy that and go back over to the long one. And now we're setting it to 1. And these variables will be used in the packages that we're going to create later on, which we're almost up to now. We're almost slogged through all these topics. So now this is enough about tactics. Okay. Anything else? Followers trade. Yeah, I did put them in the right place. Let's trade equipment. Okay. My bag is your bag. Paste those same conditions, and then we're going to put just open teammate container. God, what am I doing? Container 1. There we go. So that'll just open up his inventory. Okay, so now we're going to do the waiting stuff. I'll stay right here. Okay. Paste the conditions, and now we're going to duplicate that condition and change IsHired, the duplicated IsHired, to waiting has to equal 0 because he's not waiting, obviously. And then we're going to set companion weapon tutorial companion ref dot waiting to 1. like that. Yeah, well, let's make him EV his P's as well. I get it up there. CWTCompanionREF.Evaluate packages. So I mean, packages automatically reevaluate every 10 seconds, but it's easy to just force them to do it right away because you don't want to risk having to wait. And finally, I put CWT goodbye up here, which is this is one I made myself. So I'll just put talk to you later. Paste, and we'll just put get his ID for this one. So we've talked enough, and I'm just going to lower the priority of this to 10 so that it always appears at the bottom, because you'll see some of these other ones have low priority. Where is it? Some of them have like a priority like a 15, so we want to make sure this is definitely at the bottom of the list, so I've lowered the priority. And then I'm just going to add choices. CWT goodbye. This is the only one that actually needs to be added, because like I said, all the others are top level, so they'll already by default appear under this character's list of things. So that is all the topics done. We now need to create some AI packages for him. So we're going to just go into AI packages and we'll create them directly here. So new. So I'll put CWT Sandbox Saloon, where he'll sandbox. Incel, Goodsprings Prospector Saloon Interior. Okay. Conditions, we're going to create a new condition. Get script variable, we'll select reference and vendor window, our companion here. IsHired has to equal 0 for this. And I'll just duplicate it and then change one of them to Lucky38 also has to equal 0. So it's just occurred to me actually, in the fired no, in the fired yes suite, just add also set CWT CompanionREF.CWT Lucky38 to 0, just to make sure that he doesn't accidentally go to the Lucky38 when he shouldn't do. And I'll just copy these conditions. Make sure they're all copied, yep. Okay, so there's one done. So now we're going to create a new sandbox package. CWT Sandbox Lucky38, which is going to be incel Lucky38 Suite Floor 22. And we're going to paste those conditions, but we're going to find the Lucky38 one, that's that one, and say that this time that has to equal 1 for that to come about. So there's our two sandbox conditions. Now we're going to create our two follow conditions. So we're going to put CWT follow default, so this is going to be the close default, so this is how it's going to start. Follow, now the player, you can click specific reference, so the player is detected as being in all cells, so we don't have to bother about this. We can just find player and say that, check that off, and find a suitable follow distance that you might consider close. I usually think 250 is a comfortable follow distance. And we're going to put, I'm just going to paste these conditions in for my own ease. We're going to change the Lucky38 one that I've just pasted in, because we're looking for follow distance has to equal 0, so i.e. it's the default. And now IsHired here now must equal 1. We'll add one extra one as well. Get script variable of select reference window My Mpc, and just put waiting has to equal 0, just to be absolutely thorough. I'll just copy all those conditions. So I'm going to hit OK, and we're going to create a new sandbox one again. CWT Sandbox far, that was far, wasn't he? Then follow specific reference, uncheck end location, hit player, and think of anything further than 250. I guess 400 is nice and far away. We'll paste our conditions in, Then follow distance, we're going to set that now to 1. Because we set follow distance to 1 when we said, stay far away. So now we're going to create the weight package, which is going to be CWT weight, and it's going to be a guard package. Near reference, select reference in vendor window, we'll select our MPC, and near reference to guard, which means he will stay near himself, and just change guard location to near current location as well, within a radius of 0. Paste our conditions. This one, follow distance, isn't needed, but waiting is needed. 1. So now once waiting is set to 1 and he's hired, he will wait in his location. So I'm racking my brains and I'm thinking that is it. So I will now save our character, and I will now go into the game and make sure everything works and just kind of demonstrate it working. Okay, so here we are in the world, and this is our tutorial companion walking around right here. Hello, I'm a modded companion. I think we should travel. Oh, this has come up because I forgot to give him a custom voice type, which means he's using some default dialogue. Nice to see you again. I think we should travel together. Sounds like fun. And you'll see all this stuff has now popped up. We've talked enough. Talk to you later. Oh, I forgot to check that off as being a goodbye, so I'll have to use the default one. And now he's following us nicely. Let's open his inventory. And you'll see his gun isn't showing up because it's a non-player gun. But let's change our combat style. Oh, what the hell? There we go, if that's what you really want. And so there we go, his knife's equipped. Use ranged. 10mm pistol. I don't know why it's working, but for some reason it's keeps defaulting back to thing. Use range. See, that's working now. Fine. There we go. Wait here. I'll stay right here. It's going well. Well, back up. Almost worked. Hello, leader. What would you like me to do? Let's get going. Let's get back into it. I'm going to talk about his tactics. So how close you're following me. Keep your distance. Try to flank them. Okay, I'll do some flanking. Time for me to go. Of course, I did that while he was waiting. I need to make sure he follows me. I did set that to, oh no, there may be a problem. I think I've probably forgotten to add the set waiting to 0, but I will go back and check that. So as you can see, it is all working. I just appear to have forgotten to add a little bit of scripting, so I'll go back in and do that now. So I'm back. You see that little glitch simply happened because in the let's go topic, I've written set waiting to 1, where I should have put set waiting to 0. So that was the only problem I immediately noticed. He didn't appear very responsive with his changing of his weapons, but it does work. I mean, I always found that was a little bit fiddly in the base game anyway. They sometimes would just completely ignore that, and I know in the base game the switching of aggressive and passiveness just didn't work either. But hopefully all that seemed to work alright, and hopefully my instructions were clear and that you've been able to follow them, and that it's filled that need, and hopefully it was useful. So thank you for watching, and goodbye.